Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to our weekly market structure training. It is Wednesday, October 29th, and it is me, Coach Fatima, here. And we are going to take a look at the markets. We're going to take a look at some futures markets. We'll look at gold, the Dow, so YM. We'll look at ES as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me share my screens. Good morning. Alrighty, what are you guys trading today? I know it's been a while since we've had class. Definitely had some really exciting things going on last couple of weeks. We just had our Atlanta meetup with the trade-a-thon, so that was really fun. We had an office down, a WeWork office, in Atlanta. We spent the Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday just chilling out downtown from like 8:30. Sometimes we stayed all the way till 4, catching gold, YM, just catching a bunch of moves in the market, perfecting our strategies. So we had a blast. So that was really fun. In a couple weeks, I will be hosting a virtual boot camp with two other coaches. One is going to be teaching Forex, the other is going to be teaching trading psychology. So I will definitely drop the link to that in the chat if anyone wants more information. Let's see, what else has been going on? Okay, so you're trading ESYM and gold? Okay, Swood. Alrighty. So what are we going to start with today? What pair do we want to take a look at? Let me take a look at Forex Factory. Let's see if we have any. It's been kind of weird with the news lately just because of the government shutdown. Sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't. I do still keep like an alert. So at 10 a.m., we have the pending home sales. I know it shows on Forex Factory as it not being really high impact news. However, I noticed that, if you go to Econo Day and just being in the markets, this pending home sales data release, it does move the market for ES. We'll see how it reacts today. So 10 a.m., put a vertical line on your charts. Okay, perfect. Well, let's just go ahead and start we'll just try to go through them really quickly. Usually we try to do a top-down analysis at the very top level that helps us to identify the overall trend, kind of some key areas in the market that we may need to look out for. And then we zoom straight into the 15 minutes, set up our trade, and then zoom in to the markets even more to help us perfect the entry. So let's see how fast we can get these done today. Starting at the 4 hour with, I always do ES. I always do it. Let's go ahead. Let's do YM. I'm always doing ES. I just love that baby so much. Well, we'll go ahead and zoom into YM. Okay, so this was the last kind of markup that I had for this pair. So what I really love about markups is that like on a higher time frame, that it really helps you with your Ooh, oh my gosh. Sorry, almost dropped my cup of coffee. It really helps with back testing just because you can see, how the market reacts to different levels in the future. And so anyways, let's just talk it through. We had this 4 hour high at this point at that time. We had a 4 hour low at 45,394. 4,500 here. Price was just making higher highs. We were just in an uptrend here. Price just breaking resistance, making higher highs. We see that price came back to this area of support and then made a low. The market was unable, trying to make higher highs there, unable to make lower lows. So, in this area of the market, There was a lot of consolidation when we were on the 4 hour. So price not really making lower lows or higher highs for these couple of days before finally on Monday the 20th, it kind of shot up, made a higher high, came back, retested this area, and broke above the higher high. We had a shift in the pivotal zones, which help us to identify, momentum and things of that sort. So equity's just pushing higher here. It's been kind of, how many of you guys, do y'all feel comfortable trading this type of market where pivotal zones, we don't have any like historical data kind of to pull from, market just making higher highs in areas that, it's oversold? How do y'all feel trading this kind of market? Because it's okay to be self-aware. I was going to say, I don't like to say I have a bias, but I have noticed in my trading that I do better in sales. So this market with us making, continuous higher highs, breaking structure, making higher highs, pivotal level shifts, no kind of like major pullbacks. Pullbacks are my thing. So this has been a challenging market. It's all good. I've been taking it kind of slow. And looking at the other pairs to kind of help me to identify trend, looking at the pivotal shifts, really paying attention to those on lower time frames to kind of give me a heads up of the reversals or, continuation. Really looking at Bookmap to try to help me with that, to see the volume at certain levels. Swoodard, so you said not easy, but fib extensions help. Oh yeah, love a good fib extension. They definitely help me. But a lot of, see, yeah, so you're right. I do need to, I'm usually looking at the fibs, and I love fibs, but I'm usually looking at it for the, pullback and the reversal to kind of help me with, if I can catch, if I'm in an uptrend, if I can catch that pullback, catch a little sell for a little bit before in my entry to get back into the buy. But I haven't really used the extension. So when it breaks that, good idea. Good idea. I guess I should start incorporating those in that way. And this, yeah, good. Thank you. Why that never was a thought of mine, I don't know. But that's why I love, connecting with other traders. They remind us of, a bunch of things that we need to know. Okay, so at this market here, we were kind of consolidating. We thought that, I thought that the market was making lower lows, and it was. It's coming back to this area. And then I got a pivotal shift on the 1 hour for a new R7 and R8 level higher. So that gave me the confirmation, I should say, that we're going to make higher highs. Price hit those levels here, really maintain them, continue to make higher highs. As we can see, RSI giving us buying momentum. We have support here at this level. Now, let's draw a support box. Higher highs. Okay, and so now once again on the 4-hour time frame, we are, let me clear up my charts here. We are at a level where we are oversold. I'm sorry, where we are at an overextended level on our pivotal zones. So when the market comes to these like +1, +2, +3 areas, according to pivotal levels, we're expecting some sort of pullback. This is a selling area. However, our RSI oversold, giving us some buying momentum, across, which signals, that we can have a potential push to the upside. So definitely when we are in the R8 and plus one areas. We definitely would love to see the market being overbought, kind of giving us a cross down to confirm that pullback or that sell. So because it's not, and it's giving us the opposite confirmation that we're going into a buy, this may be where we, look at even the higher time frames to see what is the next pivotal zones before we even go to the lower time frame. So 4 hour right now, let's check the daily to see what our pivotal levels tell us. And now pivotal zones, especially when we don't have any previous data to pull from, because that's what the pivotal zones do. They're looking for support, S0, those levels. And where are they getting this data from? Support in the past where we had support previously. So when you have, new highs making, and just constantly moving like that, these pivotal levels definitely help us to spot zones. Okay, so now on the daily, our next take profit level. So our next pivotal zone here is our R8. So 48, 438 is where I would be looking for buys, scalping our buys. Remember, this is on the daily. So this may take, a week. This may take a couple of days to get to this area. Sometimes, but this is just, it's our guide. So that's about 494 points there. Label it 4 hour. What was that? The R6. And price is 48. 450, just about. Alrighty, perfect. All right, let's zoom into, so we identified the trend. We are buying here. Let's go to on the overall time frame, but we're a little in a really sensitive area with the cells and as far as our pivotal zones. So, but 1 hour is telling us the same thing, giving us buying momentum, kind of crossing up here. This would have been a great entry for the buy, for a buy here. Just once we got that cross up, we have a candle, stick just showing us that buyers are taking over. Sellers were unable to push the market further. Our next candle was a nice green candle. Wick was equivalent. So that's just showing like a lot of buying pressure. We see that this was a previous level of support here, kind of in this zone. The market did not go back to that level, really respected this area. So that would have been a great entry for the buy. Now we are at the R7, tricky kind of zone here. We see the 8 hour candle, 8 a.m. candle coming in red. So this is again where I would have taken my fib from this low to this high to see if the market is going to kind of fill this engulfing candle. This this engulfing candle here, fair value gap, whatever we want to call it there, to see if the market's going to come back to the 50-61.8 area. And sometimes we even see it coming back to basically the start of that candle, or the previous candle, because all of this here, kind of an imbalance there in the market. So that's what I would be looking for. That's kind of always been my move, especially at this time. I know the 8 hours, sometimes we have a nice push at 6 a.m. This candle, came in, this was a 5 a.m. candle. So great 6 a.m. candle push, 7 a.m. and the same trend with the London market. And then kind of around 8 or 9, especially with ES, I see a lot of times either a pullback before a continuation of the trend if there's no like high impact news or anything coming out. So we'll see what the market does. We do have that 10 a.m. Data being released. maybe, I don't know how they're going to do that with the government being shut down. So mark my calendar, kind of looking for that move here for a little pullback. Of course, if price breaks above this 47,966 zone, then of course a continuation up to the next R8 level, which is 48, just say about 48.50. So in this type of market where we kind of have price really making these strong kind of higher highs, lower, higher lows, higher highs, and those those movements really strong throughout the day, I'm just scalping with the momentum. Oh, and so here we go. Still buying there. So just trying to really look at what the market is doing currently. So bringing it down to the 15-minute, we see again that when price reached the best move in this would have been when price reached this kind of R8S0 level, taking a buy from this area up to the R8. That would have been, according to my strategy, that would have been the setup that I would have been looking for. Once price broke above this level, taking it to the R8. So, once I come into the market every day on the 15-minute, I put an alert at the R8, an alert at the S1, S0 kind of level there to let me know when there's a potential entry in the market. So at 5 a.m., which I just love this time, I used to trade the London in the Asian session. The market really gives us nice trending moves during that time. So I would have gotten my alert, would have looked at the market on, the lower time frames to kind of get a good entry. Once I saw this cross, probably would have put a pending order. Let's zoom in here. I'm just talking about how we would use this strategy to set up trades. So I probably would have put a pending order, above the high here. So maybe, at 47,741, and then put another pending order below the lowest low. So at 47,685, I would have got triggered into that buy. I would have been, of course, probably not really looking for a pending order. Excuse me. I wouldn't have put a pending order to the downside, just because that S0, looking for a buy, even though we had a cross, because I had a pivotal shift, would have been looking for, a break above that structure for that buy. And then I would have put my stop loss, below this lowest low here a little bit, if this candle hadn't formed. So whenever I would have gotten that alert for that signal, just kind of structuring my trades, taking the previous highs and lows and that wick. So, if I'm looking at this wick here, I'm not going to set my trade or, my stop loss or my entry right at that point. I'm going to give it, a little bit of wiggle room, just a couple of points. Same thing for the stop loss. So if I'm looking at these wicks here as potential areas for liquidity or where the market kind of gravitated to, I'm not going to set my stop loss, right there, and give it a little bit of wiggle room. So I would have been activated. That baby would have, went into profit at 6 a.m., pulled back a little bit and continued on. It would have hit the R8 kind of level here at 9:15. That was on Tuesday. So that would have been the ideal setup. Now, when price kind of reached the R8 here, same thing. This would have been an area for me to then take my fib from this low to this high, get in a sell here down to the 50.61.8 level. So price would have hit that. So there was a couple opportunities. Excuse me. Whoa. This baby's just moving. Okay. So then once we got that pushed down, once price would have touched the take profit, would have been out already. Took this sell down to this 50 level. Price did try to hit the 61.8 kind of area, but which that was also our 20 EMA. So that gave us a good, kind of acted as resistance. So I would have been looking at the lower time frames here and knowing how the market kind of reacts when it gets to that R8, you get a little pullback, tries to push up a little bit, further. Okay. And so the market would have just continued to be at this level, kind of just playing at this 61.8 until we kind of broke structure. And so now this fib is no longer valid. And then I would have been looking for, a different move there. Price would have I would have looked at the, pivotal zones, looked at my RSI. Okay, price is coming down here for another sell. What's our next pivotal zone? Our S0. So, just kind of playing the market, just going with momentum. Ideally, we would have loved to see, market just making higher highs and higher lows and just, moving in that kind of pattern. But of course, it doesn't do that. So just catching those small intraday scalps, but just being aware of the overall momentum, like on the higher time frames, and just knowing that, the market is still in a strong buy. We're still in a buy trend. If I am taking sells, just, remembering that counter trend trades, so I'm not over leveraging and just playing the market and really just using these pivotal areas as a guide. All right, so next area would have been kind of around here. Once we saw price reaching this kind of support level, didn't quite get down here to the S1, but we did see, this is the 15-minute time frame. Once we got this, our RSI kind of oversold, buying up, and we would have gotten in with this break here of this green candle. So once I would have seen this candle coming in here, kind of rejection off of that support, would have entered the market, once it broke above. I don't want to get wicked in. So I want to confirm that break there. Of course, your entry is perfected on, maybe the 5 or the 1 minute time frame, but we're just kind of going through how we use this strategy. And honestly, especially when getting into the market at a time like this where the move has already happened, I do have to look at where I should have gotten in and kind of map out my trade like that to see, where would the destination be, the overall take profit area, and see where I'm at and where the market is currently to see how I can re-enter. Does that make sense? So ideally, again, we would have been, gotten in here. I would have looked at the R8 as my level, again, R7 too. So not all the times does the market come to that overall level. Sometimes you come to the R8, so whatever area that is. Oh, and then we just got another pivotal shift. So you see how we had our R8 here at this upper level, and because price did not make a higher high, it shifted and then it went back. So if I was still in this buy and I was still holding on to this trade and I held, had to take profit up here for 276 points, I would be moving my stop and profit. We see that price is kind of forming a level of support here. So I would be moving just to secure my profits, right. I would have said, right around this level here. However, once I got that shift in the pivots, now I'm going to move my stop, even a little higher than that. I probably would have, moved my stop up to this level just to secure my profits, not give too much of my profits away. Also, then we go down to the 5 minute just to see exactly what's going on, see if we have any pivotal shift. Our 5 minute, though, even though we have a cross, which is signaling that, okay, the market may be coming back down. We're at the R8, maybe, making this move down to this, like this 50, 61, 8 level. We have to really be careful because, we do have our RSI oversold, giving us some buying momentum. Doesn't mean that it's going to, continue to buy up to 48, 50, but just being careful here because we know what the market could do. It could always give us a little fake out, especially at this time. Act like it's going to push a little lower, come back up here, grab these orders here before making that move. So this is why our RSI is kind of very important with helping us to identify our entry points. So we don't want to get into a sell when we have our RSI still, showing buying momentum. So we're just protecting our trades, looking to see where support is, and then of course going down to lower time frames to see if there's a shift there, to see, what the market has the potential to do. And, coming from the Forex world where we don't have, order flow kind of available to us anymore since they kind of took away MT4 and things of that sort. And we found out that, a lot of those brokers were using simulated data and things like that. Our RSI is very helpful. Our pivotal zones, they're very helpful. That's where we kind of are able to identify their lagging indicators, but of course they take data, where those big moves are, what the momentum of the market is, what volume is looking like. So, alrighty. So now in the 1 minute, we're looking to see how we would enter this trade. If the market is going to, if it's reached a level where it's going to start pulling back for the sell, or if it's going to continue to buy. And we continue to buy up to this 48.50. So we would really need, so right now the market is buying. We see that we had that cross here. We have an area. Let me, okay. All right, so we see that the market is really respecting this support area here. We took a couple buys, off of this S0 if you were on the 1 minute scalping, and would have gotten some pretty sweet moves. 69 points there, even back down to the downside. And then now we're in, the market reached a support level again. Now let's just see from this high to this low. I'm taking the high of this candle here, low of this candle. Now let's see where the market pulled back to. So it hit the 50, came back down to this level. Did it make a lower low? Bought back up, pushed past the 50, the 61.8 level. Okay, and it's still making higher highs. So what does that tell you? The market may continue to come back up here to this R8, which is the 786 area of this R8 level, if it pushes above, this price point, 47.80. So right now, you guys know it's 8:35. We have about an hour before the market opens. So a lot of times we kind of just see this is really a setup area. You're just waiting to see what the market is going to do once those influx of orders come in, at the New York Open. So I like to create when unsure, because the market could do, several different things here. But now that we've identified what they could be when they happen, we're like, okay, cool. This is so you can catch those scalps, when the market opens with a lot more clarity. And it's not just like acting crazy. You're just like, oh no, I saw I was going to buy up to that 50, 61.8 level, took those buys. Okay, once it got there, set up my sell. Okay, I know that this has been an area of kind of support here. So, if it pushes through, now I have another level that I'll be taking my, trade to. But if we get an influx of buys and the market says, you know what, this is a major area of support, I'm not going to blow through this level just yet. That's when I guess what we do, our fib extension, right? So let's see. So for me, what's so crazy? When I do my fib extension, I never use that. If I'm taking this high to this low, I just do the opposite. Oh, it's right there already. My bad. So if it breaks through, this level, then we see that our next price point is this 48 kind of 50 level, which was already, let me see here, that take profit, our overall take profit, according to where the fib zones were originally on the 15 minutes. So whatever the market decides to do, we already kind of have a setup. Right now, I would be just waiting for it price to break out of this box here to help me to identify, if I want to get into a buy or a sell just yet. YM traders, what do you guys think? What type of trade would you be looking for within this next hour? So if you were trading, just say in your demo from 8:40 to about 9:40, what are you just scalping with the momentum, or do you kind of see a clear trend? If so, sorry, who is calling? No clear trends? Okay, so great. We have YM kind of set up. We have a kind of buy, take profit. So again, we have a break. We might see one of two things. We could see, take profit coming up to here. If it continues to buy, breaks above this 4,800 level, then we'll see a continuation of that buy. Or if it breaks below, taking that short down, to this 50-61-8 kind of area. And if it breaks, and if it continues to give us selling momentum, again, this is the 50, this is the 61.8. You adjust your take profit zones according to what the market tells us. All right, you guys ready to look? How do you guys feel about YM? Do you guys feel confident in, what to do after the market figures out what it's going to do today? We're looking at it in live time. If it breaks out of this box, if it breaks above 47,980, you can catch, 18 points there. Always, looking at these levels as well. Oh, thank you. And again, just my analysis. I could be wrong, but that's why I don't try to just stick on to like, oh, the market's going to do this. It's going to buy at this, point. And so I'm going to take this as, the buy trade that I'm looking at. I try to stay flexible and say, if the market does that, this would invalidate my analysis or, my buy. I would need to take this sell, kind of map out those areas and kind of get a lot of the like the decision making and the thought process out of, my head before I actually enter the market and then have to manage my trades and work on all that. Okay, perfect. So let's go head over to gold, MGC1. Oh my gosh, dude, I know it's getting close to Halloween, so I think it's only right if I tell y'all a horror story. So I think what was the last time we came on live? It's been a while. But we were analyzing gold, and I was not paying attention, got off the live, and I guess gold was moving similar to ES. I'm looking at my ES charts here. I got my Top Step X in the background, and I go to take an ES trade, or so I thought, and I entered a trade on not a micro gold, a mini gold. Instantly out 300 down $350. That pissed me off so bad. And of course it was no one's fault but my own. But yeah, so that was so sad. I got frustrated that day. I think I think my account, I hit my max loss of not my max loss, my max daily loss. I think it was set at like $600 that day because of course I got frustrated and then, tried to make up for those trades, wasn't seeing the market clearly, got messed up in some chop. So let that horror story be a lesson. Now, a part of my plan, just as soon as I get on Top Step X, which is why I love that platform so much, like with the new kind of risk settings that they have, because now it's automatic. I put that in my trading plan. Like, I'm locked out of this. I can't trade that. I can't, trade more than 5 micros and things like that. And immediately, as soon as I start trading, that's a part of my plan. I just lock that in. So I can't change it because I would have those. I was being a little naughty girl. So I would have all my, risk settings set up, but then the day would go on and I'd be like, I could risk a little bit more, or even like adjusting my take profit. Like I've already reached $1,000 today. Let me go ahead and increase it to 1,500. And so I've already been, and I'd adjust that, which would lead me to over trading and things of that. So as soon as I just lock it in, now it's just become second nature, where, they say if you do something for 28 days or 30 days, it just automatically your body just becomes accustomed to it, building good habits. So that was very important for me with building, my discipline and not over leveraging and just being calm in the market. But that also, taught me to go ahead and block those pairs. So I can't even accidentally, because sometimes I do look at, ES, minis. I looked at those kind of levels there. So just getting zombied into the market, sometimes I can forget to switch back over, and it's just a hot mess. Right, Greg? What could possibly go wrong? It's just like you never think, I never think like, oh, okay, this revenge trading isn't going to go left. This is just going to get me back my money so that I could get back on the right side of the market. And yeah. It's never revenge trading when I'm doing it. It's only revenge trading after it's done and it screws me over. Alrighty, gold. It's so nice to see you, Greg. How have you been? I think Greg then took off. Aren't you trading like options now? Something? Greg's awesome. Okay, so kind of gold did the same thing. It, hit those take profit areas, came back, here. It looks like it's kind of selling. It's broken a lot of areas of this was a major 4-hour area of support. But as we can see, price has really maintained that R8, R7 levels, kind of giving us a double top here and just shooting below this area of support. Let's kind of clean this up so we can see it a lot clearer. So we had this 4-hour break of structure, made higher highs. So that was kind of a level of support here. As we can see, it broke below that level. Now, this was a previous, level of support here. It's broken below that area. So if you had to guess, where would be the next level from the 4-hour time frame? If gold continued to sell as it is, where can we see this baby pushing down to? If you were, just using a naked chart, so we can do that, we would just be looking, at these previous levels of support for our target points. So right now, prices right now at 40.33. 39.18 for gold is what? The last area where we had resistance and then price broke through that area. So that became, a level of support here, 3,900. And then if you just, trace the market and continue to go down further, you'll find these are, your next levels where the market ended up being support. Before that, it was a resistance level. So that's a key area, that price point, because it was support and resistance. There's just a lot of stuff going on at this level. What level is that? 38.22. So, and then you go down even further. And so that's how you can find your take profit points. The pivotal zones already calculate that for you. So, it just makes it easier to see those points. You don't have to go back, scroll back. And some people might take the wicks. And so they may be looking at 37.48. Some people may be looking at the candlestick, open and closing those areas. So it might be 37.64. So I just love that the pivotal zones kind of take all that guessing out of it. And now everyone can be looking at kind of relatively the same area there. So it makes those destination and those price points for take profits a little easier to spot because, it's already pre-planned and everyone's looking at them. Alrighty. So, yep. So again, like we said, the next price point would be 38.35 if we see price, break below this 38.98 level, again, on the 4-hour. So marking up your areas of support and even resistance. Have you ever seen people, they just have just a bunch of lines on their chart? So, they may have something like, let's see. So you might have some people who don't have any indicators and they're just trading from level to level. And so that would look something like, let's just take everything off of this chart. And so they're just looking at where there's just major levels in the market and they're just drawing horizontal rays. So something like this level here, they would draw another, line here at this price point, just at areas where price was once support. Once resistance, breakout areas, support, just like those key points. And so they'll be everywhere. in their charts, just marking out those zones. And so I've seen, charts like this. Have you guys seen anyone who just has lines on their charts? And so they're just looking at, just trading to different levels where we see, the market really reacting to just whatever you kind of see in the market there. Some people, and if you think about it, all of these levels are kind of, I'm pretty sure if we put our pivotal zones on this chart, these are all going to be, an R8, an R7, any of these kind of levels here. And then if you are into like ICT or smart money concepts, and you get into that aspect, then gold, they'll tell you that, gold has different increments and price levels. So some people say every $50 points, so then they just trade at every $50 increment. And so they have their chart set up like that. So for instance, one of their levels would have been 3,600, then 3,650 would have been a next level, which, as we can see, we kind of set it around there, and it really was a level. And then 700, and then 750. So, which it's looking pretty sweet. I don't like that actually. And this again is on the 4 hour. So know your pairs, know your characteristics of gold. Okay, sorry, got on a little tangent there, but I was just showing you that however you mark up your charts on the higher time frames, just stick with it. It's just basically allowing you to spot patterns in the market before they happen, just to give you a clue as to what you should be doing in the upcoming trading week. Oh, hey, Charlotte. Where you been? Okay. Alrighty, so again on gold. So let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We're still making lower lows, lower highs here, lower lows, lower highs. Right now we're seeing our RSI on the 1 hour overbought. We don't really have a cross down just yet. We're looking at these candles here. When you see that gold likes to do that, these are the last kind of sideways range, I'm gonna just move up and down here before either making a move back to that level or, move to the upside, however it's, trying to break out. It'll kind of, just trend to the side for a little bit before it does that. So within our analysis, remember, we're trying to just also look and spot patterns that our pair does, so that when we're in the market, we can see those things clearly. I know everyone's just like, no, just tell us, should we get in or should we get out? But then when I get off of the Zoom or, this stream, and it does something completely opposite, then everyone's all lost. So try to kind of go through what's happening first, in my opinion. All righty, so let's see. Here we go. Alrighty, so the last 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of hours here, gold has just been stuck within this price range, just from 40.25 to about 40.50, and just we are in an uptrend. Price is making, this is on the 1 hour anyways, price is still making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. We have our cross here. The 10 is crossing over the 20, giving us, some buying momentum there. So let's go to the 15-minute to let us, to give us an idea, see what the pivotal zones tell us there. Okay, and the 15-minute is kind of in our way oversold, really selling area on our pivotal zones, kind of a zone here. In the +1, +2, we had our cross to this buy. So again, if you were looking at the 15-minute time frame, we would have gotten, an alert once price reached this 39.50 kind of area here. So once price reached that level, however, we still had selling momentum. Price was still below, all of our EMAs. We didn't have any kind of buying confirmations until, we have this really sweet, indecisive candle right here. And so once we would have seen that, we would have looked here. Our next candle would have been green. We kind of have some, color here on our RSI. So if you wanted to get into a small, trade there at this point, 39.20, that's when we would have gotten, some sort of idea that, hey, price is kind of reaching an area where we might go back into a buy. We haven't gotten the full confirmation, of course, until we would have kind of seen this cross. This cross would have happened because we had a break above this low. So now we're making higher highs. Price hasn't made a lower low yet. And so, then once you would have gotten this break here, this would have been the full confirmation of that entry near the S0. So perfect. That would have been a great entry for that long. So remember, when you wake up around 6, or even, just go look at your pairs, look at the pivotal zones on, of course, the 15-minute time frame, or even the 5-minute, depending on your trading style, and get those set up so they can alert you when price hits a major level. So, let's just say you woke up at 7. So price would have already hit the R8 here. And so we're just going to be waiting now for price to either cross below this level and maybe pull back, or and continue to buy. But right now, again, just waiting for price to kind of break out of this area to give us a signal of where it has the potential to go. If price continues, or, does what it's supposed to do as far as maintaining market structure, then we would be looking at, price to come back down here to this, sell back down here to this S0, which is also around this breakout level, which is, also if we put a fib from this low to this high, this probably are, 50 on the 5-minute time frame. So if you are trading the New York Open, which love that for you, but some of us are not that brave. You just got to kind of look to see what is happening on a smaller time frame, because it may not look too clear on the higher time frame. It would just look like just buying and selling, but you might just, on the lower time frames, that's when you can spot what the market at times is really doing. So okay, it's buying, pulling back to this 50.61.8 level. And okay, it might even come back down here a little bit more. This was our support level. And then it's going to continue to push up. Just saying, not saying that this is what's happening right now. Just giving an example of what the market may be doing that would look really clear, on the 5-minute time frame. But then if you're looking at the 15-minute or the hourly time frame, it just may look crazy. So sometimes you have to zoom out, and then sometimes you have to zoom in to get a clearer picture. So if we had to guess, gold looks like it's, giving us a lot of selling momentum. Looks like it's coming out of this box. This is a 5-minute candle that just, took out this, just filled this fair value, this engulfing candle here. It's come back here to this level. We have our RSI pushing down. We are at, our R7, R8 level. We had a cross, kind of another cross here, but then, so we're just really waiting for price to break below this level or above this level. It's looking like we might get this break to the downside. But remember, we're just following momentum. And again, the 1 minute, still just the R8 and the S0. It's just right where in this little consolidation box that price has just been bouncing around in since 4 a.m. So some good moves, of course, for gold because, 17, 20 points. If you can catch 10 up, 10 down, 10 up, 10 down, if you're catching that momentum, this would have been a good move. However, your entry points are really, really going to make or break you with gold. So really wait for those confirmations. Giving gold a lot of room right now is going to be key in your survival with those trades. So if you have to if you're used to taking like 3 micros, probably just 1. If you're used to taking, or just, your risk being 10 points, you might need to, spread that out a little bit, because something like this, if you just got into a candle right here at 40.30 and you were looking for this buy, before it would have gotten up to your 40.42, that baby would have shot down to 40.25. If you didn't want to get out of your trade, or if you're really, adamant that this buy is going to take place, getting stopped out just for the market to go back to, that level, kind of frustrating. A lot of times in hindsight, you would say, okay, definitely want to get, locked out or stopped out, because then I can get a better entry down here at 27, 40.27. But when does that, a lot of times when we get stopped out, our entries, unless if you're really paying attention, sometimes your entries aren't better. That looks great then, but a lot of times when we get stopped out, we're like, okay, is the market selling now? Should I get in here for a sell? What's going on? Kind of throws off your analysis a little bit. So being able to give your pair just enough room to move in the direction that you anticipated is definitely going to be key. Alrighty, so let's see. So we made this huge move down here at 40.36. We made went down to 40.28. And now we have a pivotal shift. Okay, perfect. I love how we saw that in live time there. So now that's giving me the confirmation, or, the alert. They shifted again, but this is okay, so what are pivotal shifts telling us? So that's telling us that there was support. This was the S0, this 40.30 level. Once price broke below that, that's just the pivotal levels are going to shift, because now that's no longer an area of support. We have a new level of support. Price has broken below that. That tells us that the sellers are really in control. They've made lower lows. So when you get a shift there, especially to the downside, that's kind of telling us, okay, a lot of selling pressure here. So now what is price going to do? When it comes down here to 40.25, 40.23, we may see another bounce, because again, that is support. What can happen? The same thing that just happened, that we just saw, that, you'll have a little bounce back up once it reaches these levels, and then price will continue to the downside. So just catching those little, movements there. So gold, if you're in with the gold trade, just getting 5 points. And by 5 points, I mean $5 points. So if you're at 40.30, maybe, and you're in a buy, taking your trade to the 40.35 or 40.36, and then, getting back into the market and the trend. But you don't want to get just caught up in these. There's been a lot of wicks here, and a lot of these wicks are 10 and 20 points sometimes. So just getting in and out of those trades, not really trying to hold for, long-term movement would probably be the way I would trade gold if I were trading gold at this time. Alrighty, what do you guys think? Where's my gold traders? Any questions, any kind of suggestions or anything for us to go over? Again, we're just waiting for price to break out of this kind of consolidation box. We're looking for it to come back down here to the downside and sell to about the 4,000 level. Use your fib. Yep. Even if you take it down there. To me, if, I do my fibs, this would have been a low to a high, came back to the 50%. So then this would be my new low there. Alrighty, so I think we are all set. It is 9:07. So I want to give you guys a couple minutes there before the New York Open to kind of refocus and align yourselves in your trades and getting into the market. Oh, let me show you guys. I found this amazing trading journal. It is, let me share it. What is it called? Oh my goodness, where is it? I had it. Here we go. Trepound. You guys, this is one of the best trading journals that I found in a while. I'm going to drop it in the chat. It kind of incorporates your emotional trading. It helps you set up your accounts so that you can set up your trading plan for, it even has, you can use Forex funded, futures, just like regular accounts, futures funded. And you can manually, put your trades in, or you can download your Excel sheet from like Top Step. But it really helped me this weekend, especially with just kind of back testing, going over my trades there and making a good plan and getting into a good headspace for the week. So they give you like a good summary, tells you how much already has it. Top Step has a great trading journal, but this kind of goes into more detail, tells you, how much you should risk, what's your max loss. It kind of gives you some, this is my favorite part, the AI analysis at the end of the week. It gives you, it's like a couple paragraphs, tells you like for the week after it went over your whole trades, it analyzes and tells you your strengths, your trends, what you should work on, focus areas. So powerful. So if you guys have a chance, you get a 7-day free trial, try it out. It's trepound.net. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Anyways, great trading journal. You guys are going to love it. And then if you do, I think it's only like $20. Really, it's not as expensive as, kind of those other ones there. Oh, what happened? Okay, I got into a little sell there with ES. And we are all set. Okay, guys, thank you all for joining me. You guys head on over to the Telegram so that you guys can sign up or get more information for the virtual trading. Let me actually drop the chat form. Boot camp. It's going to be for the whole week on from November the 10th to the 14th with me, Micah, Coach Courtney. I'm going to also drop some I was doing really good at the beginning, dropping kind of like this, like some picks and stuff from our trade-a-thon. We had a blast, so that was fun. So I'll try to get some of that information out there. Um, you guys just keep an eye out on these trades. I'll let you guys know how they kind of fare around 10 a.m. Remember when we have that news, it kind of get us set up for some intraday kind of analysis with gold, YM. And of course, we didn't get a chance to go over ES, but that's my baby. And I will definitely be letting you guys know if, what my analysis is for that. Once I got a little second, to take a look at and get into that trade. So we're at really critical levels on all in gold, ES, and YM right now. So kind of giving the market just a couple minutes to decide what it's going to do. Take a look at Bookmap, see where those orders are coming in. If we see like huge buy orders, that might help us to get into, those buys before they give us, or sell orders, whatever it is. So kind of getting into and taking a look at that other information to help us get some more insight into market is definitely going to be key. And you guys have an amazing trading day. It was such a blast talking to you guys today, getting into the market, kind of analyzing what we need to be looking at, getting to our Telegram. If you have any questions, if you want to know how to like manage your trades, if you have any questions about, your entry, ask those things in the chat, drop your charts, and we go over it together. I'm not the type of person that's just going to keep feeding, information. I want you guys to be able to, learn how to trade without any help. So I'm just here to guide you as best as I can. Thank you guys for joining me. Trade Love Academy. Have a great week, and I will see you guys soon.